Mastering the mind before mastering the world is a timeless principle rooted in self-awareness and inner discipline. Everything we experience, every decision we make, and every success we seek begins as a single thought. The mind is both the creator and destroyer of reality, depending on how it is directed. When the mind is scattered, filled with fear, doubt, and distraction, our external world mirrors that confusion. But when the mind is focused, disciplined, and calm, life aligns itself with purpose. The truth is, no one truly conquers the external world without first gaining command over their inner one. The power to control emotions, impulses, and perceptions is the foundation upon which all other strengths are built. In the modern world, people often chase external achievements, money, status, validation, believing that control over circumstances brings peace. Yet the opposite is true. Peace within creates mastery without. The untrained mind reacts to every challenge with resistance or anxiety, while the disciplined mind responds with awareness and balance. When faced with obstacles, a person who has mastered their mind does not break. They adapt, flow, and move forward. The external world becomes less intimidating when the inner world is steady and centered. Training the mind is not an overnight process. It is a journey of observation, patience, and repetition. Just as a sword is forged through heat and pressure, the mind is strengthened through consistent practice. Meditation, breath control, mindful awareness, these are tools that sharpen mental clarity. Each time you catch your mind drifting into negativity or distraction and bring it back to the present, you build mental muscle. Over time, this practice transforms reaction into reflection and restlessness into stillness. Discipline becomes natural rather than forced. Mastering the mind requires humility. You must first acknowledge that you are not always in control of your thoughts, that much of what passes through your mind is habitual noise. But awareness is the gatekeeper of transformation. The moment you begin to notice your thoughts, without judgment, without attachment, you begin to reclaim power. You realize that you are not your thoughts, you are the observer behind them. From that place of clarity, you can choose which thoughts deserve your energy and which do not. When you master your mind, your perception of the world changes. The same situation that once caused anger or fear now becomes a lesson in patience or strength. The same setback that once seemed like failure becomes an opportunity for growth. You stop reacting to life and start responding with intention. Your actions become guided by purpose rather than impulse. This is the essence of true mastery, not in dominating others or controlling outcomes, but in maintaining inner stability amidst external change. The disciplined mind becomes a compass that always points toward truth, balance, and growth. With mastery of thought comes mastery of action, and with mastery of action comes mastery of life. The world bends not to force, but to focus, and that focus begins within. Awareness is the first step to discipline because without awareness, there can be no control, and without control, there can be no true growth. Awareness is the quiet light that reveals the workings of the mind. It allows us to observe our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors without becoming lost in them. Most people live in a state of unconscious reaction, responding automatically to impulses, desires, and fears. They believe they are in control, yet they are often moved by unseen patterns of conditioning. Awareness breaks this illusion. It is the awakening of consciousness, the moment you begin to see your thoughts not as absolute truth, but as passing waves within a vast ocean of stillness. When you become aware, you begin to notice how your mind jumps from one thought to another, how emotions rise and fall, how habits silently shape your decisions. This observation creates space between you and your reactions. In that space lies freedom, the freedom to choose how you will respond rather than be pulled by old habits. Discipline starts here, in this gap between awareness and action. It is not about suppression or control through force, it is about understanding. The more you understand the nature of your mind, the easier it becomes to direct it with calm authority. Awareness trains you to live consciously rather than mechanically. For instance, when anger arises, awareness allows you to recognize it immediately before it consumes you. You can observe the feeling, acknowledge it, and let it pass instead of allowing it to dictate your words or actions. The same applies to distraction, fear, or temptation. Awareness gives you the power to see these forces for what they are: temporary states, not truths. Over time, this practice transforms reaction into reflection and reflection into wisdom. The discipline of awareness is built through consistent practice. It begins with simple acts of mindfulness, being fully present while walking, eating, breathing, or speaking. Each moment of attention strengthens your ability to stay awake in the present. Gradually, the fog of unconsciousness begins to lift, and clarity replaces confusion. You begin to notice subtle patterns, the thoughts that drain your energy, the emotions that cloud your judgment, the habits that pull you away from your goals. Through awareness, these patterns lose their power because they thrive only in the dark. Once exposed to the light of consciousness, they begin to dissolve naturally. Awareness also deepens your connection with life itself. You start to experience things as they truly are, not as your mind imagines them to be. You find calm in stillness and strength in patience. You learn that discipline is not rigid or harsh. It is compassionate and intelligent. It comes not from punishing the self, but from understanding it. The journey toward mental discipline does not begin with force, but with gentle observation. Awareness opens the door, and once that door is open, every step you take leads you closer to mastery. Thoughts shape energy, and energy shapes reality. Every thought that passes through the mind carries a vibration, a subtle frequency that influences both your inner state and the world around you. When your thoughts are focused, positive, and purposeful, they create harmony within and attract corresponding circumstances outside. But when your thoughts are scattered, fearful, or negative, they generate confusion and imbalance that reflect back into your life. This is not philosophy, it is the natural law of resonance. The mind is a transmitter, constantly sending signals through the energy of thought, and the universe responds in kind. To discipline your thoughts is to take responsibility for the energy you project into the world. Energy follows attention. Whatever you think about repeatedly gains strength and begins to manifest in behavior, emotion, and even physical form. When you dwell on limitations, you strengthen limitation. When you dwell on possibility, you strengthen growth. Many people fail to recognize that their external struggles are often extensions of their internal chaos. The quality of your reality mirrors the quality of your thinking. This is why it is essential to observe and refine the energy behind each thought. Not every thought deserves your focus. Some drain energy, while others uplift and expand it. The art of discipline lies in choosing which thoughts to feed and which to release. Your thoughts are also the architects of your emotional world. Every emotion is the echo of a thought. When the mind is filled with resentment or fear, the body tightens and your energy becomes heavy. When your thoughts are filled with gratitude or compassion, your energy becomes lighter and more magnetic. People can feel this difference even without words, because energy communicates before language does. The more disciplined your thinking becomes, the more stable and grounded your energy feels, and this stability naturally attracts peace, opportunity, and connection. Disciplining your thoughts does not mean suppressing negativity or pretending everything is perfect. It means becoming conscious of what you are thinking and how it affects your energy. When you catch a thought rooted in doubt, you can pause, breathe, and choose a thought that empowers instead. This shift, though small, begins to transform your vibration. Over time, it becomes a habit to redirect energy from chaos toward clarity. The process is similar to tending a garden. Remove the weeds of negativity, nurture the seeds of positivity, and watch the energy of your mind bloom into reality. Every thought is a cause, and every experience is an effect. When you understand this connection, you stop blaming the world for your circumstances and start aligning your thinking with the outcomes you desire. The energy you radiate becomes your silent message to existence. If your thoughts are disciplined, your energy becomes coherent, and a coherent energy field naturally attracts harmony. Thus, by shaping your thoughts with awareness and discipline, you shape not only your destiny but the very energy of the world you inhabit. Control your inner dialogue, control your destiny. The conversation you have within yourself each day determines the direction of your life. Most people speak to themselves without awareness, allowing doubt, fear, and negativity to dominate their inner space. They rehearse failure in their minds long before it ever happens in reality. Every thought becomes a silent command to the subconscious, and the subconscious obeys without question. When the inner dialogue is filled with discouragement, the mind begins to believe it and acts accordingly. But when the inner voice is trained to speak with clarity, courage, and confidence, it becomes a powerful ally that shapes destiny itself. Your inner dialogue is the lens through which you see the world. If the lens is clouded with self-criticism, you will see obstacles everywhere. If the lens is clear and compassionate, you will see possibility. The way you speak to yourself in moments of struggle determines whether you rise or collapse. When challenges appear, an undisciplined mind says, "I can't do this," while a disciplined one says, "I will find a way." That single shift in dialogue transforms defeat into determination. Over time, these inner conversations shape your identity, and your identity shapes your destiny. Controlling your inner dialogue does not mean forcing yourself to think positively all the time. It means becoming aware of your thoughts and choosing those that serve your highest purpose. When a thought of self-doubt arises, you can meet it with understanding rather than judgment. You can ask, "Is this thought helping me, or is it holding me back?" This moment of awareness creates space to redirect your mental energy. Discipline grows in these small acts of conscious choice. Through repetition, the old patterns of negativity begin to weaken, and a new inner voice, one grounded in confidence and wisdom, takes root. Words carry vibration even when unspoken. The dialogue you repeat to yourself is a form of energy that influences emotion, posture, and presence. A person who constantly says, "I'm not good enough," unconsciously lowers their energy, closing themselves off to opportunity. But one who tells themselves, "I am learning, I am growing, I am capable," generates energy that attracts progress. The universe responds not to what you want, but to what you truly believe. By changing your inner language, you change the signal you send out, and reality begins to shift accordingly. Disciplining your inner dialogue requires patience and mindfulness. It is like taming a wild animal. At first, the mind resists control, but with gentle consistency, it begins to obey. Each time you replace a thought of limitation with one of possibility, you reclaim power. Each time you speak kindly to yourself, you strengthen the foundation of inner peace. Eventually, your inner voice becomes your guide instead of your critic. The mind becomes your greatest supporter rather than your greatest obstacle. When you learn to master your inner conversation, you no longer depend on external approval, for your strength comes from within. In mastering your inner dialogue, you become the conscious author of your destiny. Stillness strengthens clarity because only in moments of quiet can the truth of the mind be seen. The constant noise of modern life, endless thoughts, distractions, and demands, creates turbulence that clouds perception. When the mind is restless, even simple problems seem complex and emotions distort understanding. But when the mind is still, awareness becomes sharp, like the calm surface of a lake reflecting the sky. In stillness, you begin to see your thoughts as they are temporary movements, not absolute truths. This realization allows you to respond to life with precision and wisdom instead of reaction and confusion. Stillness is not the absence of movement, it is the presence of inner balance. It does not mean withdrawing from life or escaping responsibilities. Rather, it is the ability to remain centered even while the world moves around you. A disciplined mind learns to pause before speaking, to breathe before reacting, to listen before judging. These small acts of stillness create clarity that influences every decision. Without stillness, the mind jumps from one impulse to another, pulled by emotion and circumstance. With stillness, you act from intention rather than impulse, guided by calm understanding instead of restless desire. In stillness, awareness deepens. You begin to notice the subtle layers of your own mind, the fears that drive you, the attachments that bind you, and the illusions that limit you. The more you observe, the more clearly you see that much of your suffering is self-created. This insight brings freedom. You realize that peace does not depend on external conditions, but on your inner state. Even in chaos, you can remain tranquil if you learn to anchor yourself in stillness. Like a mountain that remains unmoved by passing clouds, a still mind remains steady amid change. Stillness is cultivated through practice. Meditation, mindful breathing, time in nature, or simply moments of silence throughout the day, all these nurture the habit of calm observation. When you sit quietly and allow thoughts to pass without chasing them, you teach your mind to settle. At first, this feels difficult because the mind resists silence, but with patience, you begin to experience a deeper awareness, one that is not bound by thought. In this state, clarity naturally arises. You begin to see solutions where before you saw only problems. You recognize what truly matters and what is merely noise. The strength that comes from stillness is gentle yet unshakable. It allows you to face challenges without losing inner balance. It brings confidence without arrogance and compassion without weakness. When your mind is calm, your actions carry purpose, your words carry weight. You no longer rush through life reacting to every disturbance. Instead, you move deliberately, guided by insight. True clarity does not come from thinking more, but from thinking less and seeing clearly. Stillness is the doorway through which understanding enters. When you cultivate stillness, your perception sharpens, your energy aligns, and your life begins to flow with quiet strength. Discipline transforms chaos into harmony because it brings order to the restless energy of the mind. Without discipline, thoughts scatter like leaves in the wind, actions lose direction, and emotions dominate decision-making. Life without discipline feels noisy and fragmented, as if each moment pulls you in a different direction. Discipline does not confine, it organizes. It gives rhythm to the mind and purpose to the heart. When your actions, thoughts, and emotions move in harmony, you begin to experience peace, not the peace of escape, but the peace of alignment. In that alignment, chaos finds its balance and clarity becomes natural. The human mind is powerful, but without structure, it becomes its own obstacle. Discipline acts as the bridge between intention and achievement. It turns inspiration into consistency and chaos into creation. Many people mistake discipline for rigidity or control, yet true discipline is freedom. It frees you from the grip of distraction and from the tyranny of impulses. When you live without discipline, every emotion and thought becomes a command. But when discipline is present, you decide which commands to follow. This mastery over your inner world creates harmony, both within and without. Discipline is not built through force, but through repetition and awareness. Every time you choose to stay focused when your mind wants to wander, every time you honor your word despite discomfort, you strengthen the thread of inner harmony. Slowly, the scattered elements of your being begin to move together. The mind becomes steady, the body obedient, and the emotions cooperative. You begin to sense an inner order, a calm flow that allows you to act with precision and clarity. Chaos loses its power because it cannot survive in a mind that is stable and centered. Harmony born from discipline extends beyond the self. When your inner world is balanced, your relationships, work, and environment reflect that balance. You communicate with patience, act with integrity, and respond with understanding. Others feel the calm in your presence because harmony radiates outward. It is not something you impose, it is something you embody. A disciplined person does not need to control others, for their presence itself inspires order. This is the silent strength of one who has mastered discipline. They bring calm to disorder and direction to confusion simply by being grounded in themselves. The transformation from chaos to harmony is a gradual unfolding. It begins with small acts, waking up on time, keeping promises, staying mindful in daily tasks. These actions might seem simple, but together they create a powerful current of consistency. Over time, this current replaces uncertainty with confidence and distraction with purpose. The mind becomes a servant of your will, not its master. The heart becomes clear, and life begins to move with rhythm and grace. Discipline turns the noise of chaos into the music of harmony, where every thought, action, and intention flows together as one unified force.